This is a presentation we're going to do from California, where I flew from the other day, and there are two fantastic people that I'm really excited to introduce you to. And yeah, just go ahead and bring it up, and then we can maybe start the stream, and we'll get started. Already connected? Okay.
But I can't find the presentation.
I think it's CHOC. So this presentation is about how two completely different places. One is a children's hospital. This children's hospital is called CHOC, Children's Hospital of Orange County. That's where I come from, Orange County, California. And that hospital has mainly pediatric patients that are severely ill. In fact, I got introduced to that maybe 15 years ago playing guitar for the kids. I'm a musician, so playing guitar and singing for the kids in that hospital. So it's near and dear to me. It's an amazing hospital, and it helps a lot of people. But as you're going to hear, medical situations with children are very scary, especially for the parents. And so they're using EON in a very innovative way that's really life-changing for both the patients, the parents, and also the doctors. And you'll hear Debra Beauregard, who's in charge of programming and training at CHOC, talk about this. The other is one of the best leaders I've had the privilege to work with in California. This is the president of LA City College. She will be talking about Dr. Mary Gallagher. She's overseeing a system of 9 colleges with 100,000 students in Los Angeles. It's a huge system with huge barriers of poverty in that area, crime, and funding, diversity, equity, and inclusion, a lot of learners that are disabled. So she's going to talk about what it took to overcome and change that whole system and turn the ship around. And they're two extraordinary stories that have a lot of crossover links, and so we're going to bring those on. And I think they can also do this if we are unable to get the slides. Okay. All right. Oh, I can take requests and sing songs at this point for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Oh, 40 seconds. Okay. Right. So, what else can I tell you about? Yeah, so one of the things at the Children's Hospital is, I guess they didn't, in both institutions, you'll hear that what they started with and what they ended up with were different. So one of the things I learned from these two women is that it does take vision and kind of storyboarding and a little patience, understanding how this is going to change the nature of what you're doing. And you need to take the time to kind of learn that and understand it to make it very powerful to make that change. And that's what both of them have done at these places. So with that, we'll take a 15-second pause.
That should be it, and it's loading.
Okay, good.
So that's
Fantastic.
here and also here.
Thank you.
Just gonna mute this.
All right. Hello from California.
Hello.
Good morning.
We're just adjusting the sound here. So hello, Debra. Hello, Dr. Gallagher. Can you guys hear me? I think I need to be in front of the computer, maybe. Now you guys can see me, probably. So
Yes.
welcome to our conference here in Istanbul. Thank you so much for joining. It's very early in California, I know, early in the morning, and so we really appreciate you being here. I did some introductions while we were adjusting the slide deck, and so with that, we're so happy that you're here. I introduced both of you, and then what I'm going to do is maybe start with Debra for a short introduction with a few slides, and I think I'm probably running those from my end, I think. So we'll go ahead with that. So go ahead, Debra. I pass the audio to you.
Okay. I can't see my slides, but I'll go ahead and speak to them. So we're Children's Hospital of Orange County. We are the Department of Medical Intelligence and Innovation. At CHOC, we have 334 beds at our main campus. And our sister campus is 54 beds. So one more slide. There you go. We have one more back. We have 5 centers of excellence in addition to our institute, which are heart, orthopedic, neurosurgery, research, and oncology. Next slide. And we also have a mental health program, both inpatient and outpatient, our Thompson Autism Center, and one of the nation's only adolescent cancer programs. We're a freestanding children's hospital, but our academic partner is the University of California, Irvine. And from there, we have more than 500 residents, fellows, medical students who come through CHOC every year. We are a level 1 trauma center at CHOC, and down the road at CHOC Admission level 2. We have a level 4 NICU, level 4 epilepsy center, and a very busy campus. Next slide. So our institute is responsible as the hub of innovation at CHOC for the creation, co-creation, and adoption of innovative solutions. And that's really where that partnership with EON is beautiful for us. So next slide. Because together we are creating unique and compelling solutions that add value, and we're always focused on the needs of our patients and families. Next slide. If we were creating a new medical device, we would use the exact same process as we do when we're creating modules. We use a human-centered design thinking process. Always start with a problem. What problem are you trying to solve? And the voice of the patient. Who are you solving the problem for? And then we go through our ideation, prototyping, and testing process. Next. So I want to show you just a few of the different types of modules we're creating. This was brought up by our chief of cardiology. She said we have to have a better way to educate our parents. And she actually chose the 3D model for her heart. She wanted something very simple to not be distracting to the parents. And this is so beautifully animated. It shows the blood flow through the heart. Right now we have 4 of the most common pediatric conditions. And this is an absolute game changer for our parents to be able to take these modules home and learn about these conditions, get to watch them over and over again. It is so comforting for them to understand. Next slide. Then we went a completely different direction. Our team down at CHOC Admission said we're having such a hard time after kids have a procedure, we need them to ambulate. We can't discharge them until they're able to walk. And so we created this module, and we'll just show about 30 seconds of it if we could. But it is gorgeous. So you can see the walls beyond the module. It just changes the whole scenery for them. They get to play a game. They're finding Choco Bear. They're taking his picture because he's on vacation. The scenery is stunning that they're getting to see. It just motivates them. Then they go to the next station. So here they are at the nurse's station finding Choco Bears. But it absolutely motivates them to get out of bed, and they want to do the module. So we can go on to the next. I could watch this module all day. And go to the next slide. I'm gonna stop the video. There we go. And so this was designed with our MRI team. The problem they were trying to solve was anxiety. Kids come in for an MRI and they are incredibly anxious. And we were having to actually cancel appointments and reschedule them with sedation. And we never want to have to sedate if we don't have to. So the goal was to have them take control of their own environment, which psychologically calms them. And they have these amazing sea creatures that go on the journey with them along with Choco Bear. Maybe we just show a few seconds of this one. You can see the picture there. They're trying to go through these big double doors where the magnet actually resides, and they're getting to see a sandcastle where there used to be these very double doors. This is in the waiting room. We start there where they come in very anxious, and next thing you know, they're walking around and playing and learn as well along the way. And again, the sea creatures go along with them. We can stop there. all day. The best is watching kids go through them, just understanding this does not do it justice when you're there. It is magical. So we can stop and go on to the next.
I'll just talk on my mic for a second. So these kids are passed out iPads. This is what they're actually seeing on their way to their procedure, in this case, the MRI. So completely changed everything at CHOC Hospital and patient anxiety, solving a problem that was not solved.
We can go to the next slide. So this I just wanted to show you. It's one we're working on right now. I'm so excited for it. It has to do with kids who are coming in for surgery and again, very anxious. There's also some wait times. Being a level 1 trauma center, sometimes we can't get them right into the OR. So we wanted to entertain them, but also have them take control of their environment. They also have some education in there. This is one of our characters working with Choco Bear to learn how to breathe into a mask because our staff was having a terrible problem getting the kids to put the mask on, which we need them to do to go to sleep. So again, just working through the different problems that the staff are having and how we can utilize this technology in amazing ways to solve those problems. We have a whole bunch of different modules on deck, and we can talk about some more of those a little bit later. So I'll hand it back to Renah and Mary.
Okay, with that, Marcin, we'll just have the view of everybody streaming. We'll be done with the video, and I'd like so thank you so much. We're going to switch to live streaming and switch to Dr. Gallagher, and so you can see this was really used in a very different way and to solve a problem that was. So this is not anatomy and physiology. It's patient care, anxiety, communication. It's super important, and it's changed the nature of the way the hospital operates, and especially important in pediatrics. So, and there we go. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Dr. Mary Gallagher, the president of LA City Colleges. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Renah. Debra, that's such great work. Great to see the application of this amazing technology. I'm going to talk a little bit about the application of this technology at a 2-year community college in Los Angeles. It's actually in the heart of Los Angeles, central Los Angeles. We're almost 100 years old. We have about 15,000 students. 75% of our students are students of color, and most of our students are first generation or first time college students. So we serve a population that does not get exposed to as much as many other parts of Los Angeles have the exposure to. So this technology is really allowing us to really get immersive learning happening for our students. The data shows that when students have this immersive type of learning, they engage at a much, much higher level, and their retention is incredible. We have been actually developing educational lessons using augmented, virtual, and mixed reality for only 2 semesters. We have over 800 lessons that have been accessed 10,000 times. Our faculty have driven this entire process. So we're very excited for the feedback that our faculty have given us. What they believe has happened with their teaching is they have been able to get more creative with their teaching. The approach that they have, similar to what Debra had illustrated for us, is that it allows you the opportunity to step back, take a look at a problem, and solve that problem using this incredible technology. Our students had 75% higher outcomes and retention of the material they were learning than the students that they compared to in the semester before that. We have almost 100 faculty now, faculty members, who have created these lessons. And the lessons have been across 65 departments and disciplines in the college, from English and math to counseling and career preparation. So it is all across the board. The creativity is amazing. And the immersive technology is something that we're very committed to at City College. We're putting what we are calling a maker space. We actually call this program Meta City, and it allows everyone to begin to engage with this technology. We're putting a lab in our library that will be a lab for students to actually engage with this content. And we're thrilled to be a part of this.
That's fantastic, and we can't tell you how happy we are to be partners with both of you, and you are very active with our team, and so we really appreciate that. I mean, we work with both of you weekly, if not every other week, and we're lucky to see each other because we, as far as in California, we're very close in proximity. So I do have a few questions, and I want to start with the creativity and teaching and learning, and how you have seen that kind of change over the last year or two as you've been involved with this technology, and what's changed in your institutions. Let's go ahead and start with Debra.
Well, I think from our perspective in how we help our patients with whether it's anxiety or we're wanting to educate the families, literally, Dr. Morchi, our chief of cardiology, showed us some of her drawings that she used to hand to the parents, and she was embarrassed by them. They were funny, but that's what she would hand the parents when she was explaining to them, their child's condition. And so, and then looking at others, if we weren't educating the kids on what was going to happen during their visit, again, just that anxiety level, and you just watch it come down. You can watch them physically go from being this to being relaxed and playing. So it's the learning that it's not a scary place always.
Fantastic. And how about at LA? How has that changed things there?
I'll share with you a couple of specific examples of the creativity that our faculty have used. So one of our chemistry professors looked at how we usually see chemical compounds, molecules. It's illustrated in 2-dimension and very challenging to picture what the molecule actually looks like to what we see on a 2-dimensional page. They actually created an object that illustrates that 2-dimensional object in a 3-dimensional format, and the students were absolutely stunned to be able to see a molecule and understand a molecule from a very different standpoint. An additional story I'd like to share with you is our most accessed lesson is a lesson called The Bridge. When you think of the bridge, you might be thinking about constructing a bridge, how to cross a bridge. There's a variety of things you can think about in using a bridge. This was actually part of an English class. It was a class in creative writing. And the faculty member decided that in order to help students remember the components of creative writing, to make sure they didn't miss anything, he used a bridge as the conceptual framework for the lesson. It was absolutely, it was so successful, he was absolutely stunned because the students were able to remember all of the components of the creative writing piece that they were doing just because they were thinking of the bridge. Absolutely amazing work. Our anatomy and physiology professor has been able to incorporate the actual experience in virtual reality in a hospital room of what you actually are seeing and doing as a technician or a professional in a hospital room, and you feel like you're actually in that room. What we do also is quiz as students are observing a lesson. They're taking a quiz and they're developing that skill set, and they can see it as many times as they need to see it to really cement that concept. This is an absolute change opportunity for all students. It doesn't matter what your educational background is. It doesn't matter how strong you are in math or science or anything. This opportunity allows a student to review over and over from very different aspects how to really learn and have that learning be deep and ongoing.
Beautifully said. I know how to learn is something that I found out in college I didn't know. Remember how painful that was to correct that situation. Very beautifully said. Well, both of you are very, very strong leaders, and that's one of my favorite things that I've ever studied is leadership. And I'm just so kind of impressed in how you developed your teams, and I'd love for each of you to comment how you develop your teams to implement this in your institutions and what those teams are made up with. And again, we'll start with Debra.
We brought in a creative consultant to work with us, and he's got a lot of CG background and experience. And we brought him in to serve as Mary's example, a bridge. So this creative works as a bridge between our providers and EON Reality team. And we actually are a very cohesive team. And we also, our clinical champions were key to our team and finding the right clinical champions, bringing them on to do our first couple of modules. And then from there, it was smooth sailing. And we've got people lined up around the corner to want to do their modules now.
Thank you, Debra. And Dr. Gallagher.
Thank you. Yes, I'd love to share how we developed our teams. We actually first started bringing in the faculty who were ready to jump on board with this new technology and really start it. The challenge was, how do we start? Where do we start? Faculty were used to taking their textbook and developing lecture notes and really delivering instruction that way. They had to rethink how they were going to deliver their instruction. And initially, it was a struggle for them. So, what we did, we're actually located in Hollywood. So, we said to ourselves, why don't we bring in some young filmmakers to take a look at this and help us? Filmmakers are used to taking a story or an idea and creating something magical out of it. So, we brought in a couple of filmmakers. In addition to that, they brought on some people to help coach. So the filmmakers we brought on developed the process for us, kind of like storyboarding, what you were talking about earlier, Renah, and Debra, what you actually showed us an illustration of. And so they're used to doing that. So they created that line or string, if you will, of how to develop a lesson. What are the different components and how you even start to do this? How do you create the idea and make it happen? And then they actually trained coaches. So they developed the training. We brought on an expert in accessibility because for lessons for education in the United States, everything has to be accessible. So you have to have an alternative means of accessing that information if you have a disability and you're not able to access it in the way that it was originally designed. So we brought an expert onto the team to ensure that all of our lessons were accessible. In addition to that, we had to have modelers who created objects. So while there's a marketplace for objects, sometimes you have to create your own objects. For example, this molecule that was created from scratch. So we have a group of modelers. So we have a team of close to a dozen people who actually work with, we bring on about 50 new faculty per term to start to develop these lessons. We're only our second term into it. We've got almost 100 faculty. And now the coaches are being developed from the faculty who have created these lessons. They're teachers at their heart, so they want to help others to get that creative juice flowing and really do this in a very, very, very scaled way so that across our curriculum, we have these options for students to be able to access this material in a very different and an absolutely incredible way.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone here was taking notes. That's the gold right there is if you have that leadership model in developing that team. And I can tell you, all of us at EON that work with these two teams we feel very privileged and we learn as much from them as they learn with us. And it really is a great partnership and we really treasure it. And I have another question for you, which I think, from when you started, how do you think, for you, how did this technology expand from what you originally thought or intended when you got started with EON? So again, we'll start with Debra.
Oh my gosh. Well, and part of this was creative process, right? So originally we were thinking, and we probably will at some point, do some basic nursing education for our nurse students. But other problems came up, and people came to us with problems about, again, children having anxiety with MRIs, children having anxiety in the OR, being able to educate parents on cardiac conditions. And we jumped into working on those instead. And our team down at CHOC at Mission that did the ambulation module, their first thought was, we'll put bear prints, paw prints on the floor, and maybe that'll motivate kids to walk from one station to the next. And they may have. I don't think so, but they this though instead when we started to ideate, and again, no idea is a bad idea when you start to ideate, but they dreamt this up along with EON, and it was just this beautiful partnership. And the team will tell you because they remember where they started to where they finished, and now it's just this. We were down there last week walking some kids through the module, and you had physicians walking by, nurses walking by. They're doing our thing. They're doing our thing. It's their thing. It's their module. And so that's when you know you've made that pivot and it's their module and they're so proud of it and they want to show C-suite members and they want to show everyone that walks through. And of course it's for the patients, but from the staff perspective, they feel so empowered to have helped patients in a way that they never thought possible. It's amazing just the momentum, the morale that people feel when they're helping patients in a way that is completely unique and innovative.
It's an incredible story. I mean, and one that I wouldn't have expected or anybody would have thought of when, getting started in a hospital at all. So interesting. And same question for you, Dr. Gallagher.
Thank you, Renah. The experience we had, initially, the assumption from the faculty was that this type of technology would only really work for career technical education programs where you're doing a lot of hands-on work and you just need to see how something works before you actually go in and work on it yourself. What we actually found out from the faculty who initially signed up to do this pilot program that we had in spring is that we had faculty interested from across disciplines. They had no idea how they would do it. Our math faculty thought this is just a mistake to do this. I can't even imagine how to do this. And as they started to develop these lessons and the excitement from the faculty to be able to use creativity, to be able to teach differently. That's how they feel. They feel they're teaching differently, even though they probably really aren't. And they were probably utilizing some of this in class as they were teaching. It is such a different approach. The enthusiasm that you get as an instructor to actually be able to do something for your students that's very, very different. There is nothing more rewarding. As Debra is articulating with working with patients, the same thing happens with students. Imagine someone who barely finished high school in central Los Angeles, a child of immigrants who English is not their first language spoken at home. They come in and they're able to access an English composition lesson using augmented and virtual reality. And they are able to construct a composition that meets all the metrics of college level English composition in one semester. That is what is happening. These students used to take 2 and 3 and 4 semesters to be able to accomplish that. This is, I knew when I first experienced it myself a couple of years ago, this is the opportunity to really have equitable outcomes. I think that's the most powerful thing about this technology is it is available to everyone. Everyone can benefit from this technology. It is for the masses. It brings in rare components of things, costly components of things that you would never be able to do, and things that are really difficult to access. And it brings it to your, what feels like to your fingertips. This is remarkable, and I'm so excited to continue down this path.
Well, thank you so much, and wow, such an honor to moderate this panel with both of you, and I have so much respect for both of you, and every time you talk, I learn like 10 new things at the minimum, and thank you for the leadership and how you're changing Los Angeles, changing things for children, young adults, and adults, really championing diversity, equity, and inclusion there, which we really need, and you almost made me cry up here, so had to take a couple breaths. It's such a passionate speech, and I really thank both of you. So with that, can we please have a round of applause for Debra and Dr. Gallagher? Thank you both. I'll see you when we get back.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Great
very
rest
much.
of your evening.
Bye.
Thank you. And with that, I'll pass it to John, I think.
Great, thank you, thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed the presentation. That concludes our session for today. Tomorrow we'll meet up downstairs, the Galata room. So just head downstairs, all the way down, you'll find that room, and we'll start at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. So that concludes our session for the day. Thank you very much for your attention and being here and being present. We'll hopefully see you tomorrow. All right, thanks everyone.